Hello there, Johannes Whiskey Lore, and time for another whiskey tasting from a different area of the house. Actually, I had some sun beaming in. It's a beautiful sunny day, and sun was beaming in on the chair and messing with these automatic cameras, and they're trying to filter light, and so it was kind of messing with things. So, hey, you get to see me in another part of the whiskey parlor. And today I am doing a tasting of an Irish whiskey in honor of experiencing Irish whiskey. A mini I bought. This is Paddy's. Paddy's is a whiskey that I have actually tasted it once. I tasted it while I was at the Duke of York in Belfast. And I was drinking some really nice whiskeys that day. So this one didn't hit me quite right. But then again, this is like $22 a bottle at my local whiskey shop. So 40 ABV. This is it has a storied history. It goes back into the 1880s and before. It was in the 1880s that Cork Distillers Company was selling this whiskey. They had a salesman named Paddy Flaherty, and Paddy had he was a natural born salesman. He went out to whiskey pub, and while he was out at the pub, he would buy rounds for the bar. So if you want to make friends, that's a good way to do it. Well, then according to legend, people started asking for Paddy's whiskey, and so they just changed the name to Paddy's Whiskey, and so the rest is history. Well, in 2016. Middleton, who Cork evolved into Middleton, which makes Jameson also, and Method of Madness, and many other whiskeys, Redbreast, so on and so forth. Powers, we can go. The list is endless. They used to make everything, and Middleton then sold this brand off in 2016 to Sazerac, and Sazerac took this and Michael Collins as their whiskeys. Continued to have it made at Middleton, and then while I was on my trip around Ireland for writing this book, I found the Lochgill distillery, visited there, really enjoyed it, and then as I was coming home, I heard, Lochgill, it's been purchased by Sazerac. So that's great. It's now they're going to start producing Paddy and Michael Collins there, where they make Aru already, which is another whiskey that I have done a tasting of not too long ago, and I actually have 2 more bottles of that I'll be doing tastings of coming up very soon. 14-year-old whiskey, so they make some really good whiskey there, and so of course that I got to taste new make while I was there. Nothing they have on the market right now coming out of that distillery is actually in-house made whiskey, because they are getting up and running at this point. But it's going to be a fun one to watch, and man, when they get tourist opportunities to that distillery, it's going to be great. So, without further ado, going to jump in and do a tasting. I am not supporting dry January. I've been reading it all over the place, and like, people are taking a month off from drinking whiskey. I'd have to shut my channel down if I was going to take a month off from drinking whiskey. Are you observing dry January? I get the idea. It's like, maybe you've over imbibed through the holidays and you just feel like you need to take a break. My thing is that that's a pretty hefty glass actually that I poured here, because I just decided to finish out the mini bottle there. But I mean, I usually pour half of that, and maybe I'll drink 2 of these. So that's about the equivalent of what I might drink in a day normally. And so I don't really feel like I need to take a break. I mean, why self-torture? But I guess if you feel like you have gone a little too far and you need to give your body a little bit of a breather, there you go. My breathers come like once every 6 or 7 days. I'll take a day off and not be drinking anything. So on the nose, this pulls in some of those bourbon characteristics. There's a little bit of that char in there, a little vanilla. First time I smelled this, I only had like that much in the glass, and I just could not smell anything. But it's a little brighter today. Um, Picking up more of your sweet pear notes, a little bit of a grain note in there. But that char is surprisingly strong, actually. Cheers. Surprisingly, it has a really nice mouthfeel to it. And unlike some of the Middleton whiskeys, it doesn't have that solvency kind of flavor to it. Um, Instead, the pear, little lemon with the grain coming through on that, little bit of char towards the end. I'm really surprised by the mouthfeel of this. It's not a heavy mouthfeel by any stretch of the imagination, but it feels like a substantial enough whiskey. I mean, it really actually comes through pretty nice. A little bit of honey coming through in there as well. If there's anything that's off-putting about it, it's probably that you get a little bit of that bitter tannin char note on the back of your tongue, but it's very mild actually, and not something I would really overly pay attention to, especially after you have a couple of sips of it. I was trying to remember, because I got a little pepper note the first time I drank this. I'm not getting it so much the second time. So it kind of softens as you go, and actually that char has kind of dissipated as well. This is not a whiskey that's going to blow the world away, but at $22, and if you're looking for a really easy drinking whiskey, honestly, I like this better than I would like a Jameson. If you gave me a choice between the two, I would probably take this over that, because this doesn't have anything that's off-putting to it. It's just an easy drinker, and if that's what you're looking for, then I would say $22 a bottle. This is probably one that you could look at. And I try to compare it to something like, say, a Shackleton. The thing is, it's kind of unfair in a way to compare the two, because Shackleton is a blended malt, so it's not got grain neutral spirits in it like this does. But this is, I think this is a little bit more malt forward in terms of the blending that they're doing. I don't get much in the way of pot still. Maybe it's that grain coming through and a little bit of that lemon note that comes in, but it's definitely not very heavy in the pot still, for sure. The only other thing that really stands out maybe is the weight of it, and it being a really nice mouthfeel to it. So I'm impressed. I was not expecting to be impressed. I mean, I think it's a good whiskey for what it is to be a low-cost whiskey. I think it's one that definitely can hold its own and be something that you enjoy, probably when you're talking with friends and just enjoying an evening. And heck, it works for that for me. So hope you enjoyed the video. Give me a like if you learned anything, or if you enjoyed the video, and of course, leave your comments below. Are you doing dry January? Is it worth it? Is it kind of silly? Who knows? I mean, like I say, I never judge anybody for stopping drinking whiskey. That is a personal choice. But for me, the show will and must go on. Cheers and Slainte. Yeah. Yeah, there's pot still influence in there, but it's really, really mild. Really mild.